Hello, and welcome to Warm and Cozy Mug Rugs. Good morning, Susan. Good morning, Kim. So my name is Rachel, and today we are going to be looking at the new holiday celebration collection for this month, because it is now October. Woo! So if I get the PowerPoint going, there we go. So holiday celebrations, as just an overview, it is a way to earn a free embroidery collection that is holiday themed in each month. So September, October, and November are the 3 months, and there are 3 collections that all coordinate together. So last month we had Warm and Cozy greetings, which had greeting cards, ornaments, and gift tags on it. This month is Warm and Cozy Mug Rugs. And then next month, in November, we're going to do Warm and Cozy embroidery. So they're just straight embroidery designs, some applique, that you can do lots of things with. So to earn the collections, all you have to do is spend $79 or more on OESD products. This includes designs, stabilizers, Isacord thread, tools, OESD tools like the point and press tool, which is awesome, organ embroidery needles, and I'm sure there's more that I have not listed. And like today, we will have one more live stream going over the different collections, or in this case, we're going to have a live stream going over the embroidery collection on Friday, November 5th, and you'll get to see what I've done with it. I'll get to see what I've done with it, because I haven't seen yet, because I haven't started. Good morning, Carol. So first, let's go over some new OESD products. So things you can buy to get your $79. Some of these have been out a few months, but it is not too late to make Halloween decorations. It is only the 1st after all. So we have the freestanding witchy wall hanger. So it has brads to keep it articulated and has a broom that it can ride in on, and it is intended to either lay flat or hang against a wall. Then we have our pumpkin patch collection for this month, or year, this year, the freestanding spiderweb pumpkin patch. So this uses the glow-in-the-dark thread, which is really fun to work with. It is a specialty thread, so you want to slow your machine down with it, but it is not as touchy, picky as like metallics. Good morning, Brenda. But I do have some of these stitched out at the store. I keep forgetting to take pictures of them. But they look really great. They also use the perfect punch tool to create holes. So like on the scalloped pumpkin, the holes that are in the scallops, you just punch out. And that perfect punch tool is so easy to use. It is great. Then we have our haunted house for this year to go to the haunted village. So we have the Midnight Manor. The original thought process with it is that it would be a noir feel, so using grays and blacks. I chose a different color scheme, which I'll show you in a second, but we do have project boxes that go with the collection, so you get the collection and then the stabilizer needed to complete the design collection. So if you haven't done, like, say, freestanding applique before, this comes with a smaller roll of stable stick, comes with enough aqua mesh and badge master to make the design, or the whole house. So my Midnight Manor, I went with purples, and for the roof, I used another newish OESD product, which is the Luxe Sparkle Vinyl. I originally was planning on using the purple Luxe Sparkle Vinyl, because it does come in purple, but I chose all my fabrics before I had color swatches. And the purple is very bright and would not have gone well, so I went ahead and went with black, and I just love how it turned out. And it does use glow-in-the-dark thread as well. So like the white around the edges of the roof is a nice glow-in-the-dark detail. OESD is really good at just putting touches of glow-in-the-dark and not a whole bunch. Then for our winter village, our new piece this year is the police station. This one is mine, so I use the white Luxe Sparkle Vinyl for the roof, And then I used yellow satin for the applique. I purchased satin, which apparently I didn't need to, according to Noel, but I purchased satin, and that was before I got the instructions. And after I got the instructions, it's like, we recommend using white and cream. I was not going to go buy more, so what I did instead is I used the front and the back of the satin. So you can see, like in the center picture, behind the police is shiny and behind the 7 is matte. So that's how I differentiated to give it a little bit more dimension, but I didn't have to go buy more fabric. One of our new tiling scenes for this year is Happy Snowman by Donna Gelsinger. Mine is currently being stitched together by my awesome mother, so I don't have it yet. But I did take a picture of the snowman's face tile. I just love it. I am doing mine in a dark background as opposed to a light one. But it is gorgeous. Then a project I got done last month, and I want to continue to show off. The collection is called Sophisticated Animals. So it is boy and girl animals. So like a boy and girl cat, and the differentiation is whether they have flowers or bows, they're girls. If they have like bow ties, they're boys. So these are 3 of the girl ones. And I made a pillow with the boy cat. And it says on it, a meow teeny, shaken not purred. The lettering on it is from version 9 embroidery software. And this uses another new OESD product, which is their pillow blank, which I'll talk about more in a second. Not a new collection, but if you haven't started for Christmas and you're thinking about doing something for Christmas, this is an awesome collection. It's called Nordic Noel by Jim Shore. So it looks like Jim Shore designs, because that's what it is. There is a fabric collection that goes with it. Of course, we do not carry fabric, so we do not have it. I will admit I got my fabric online because I wanted it now. But I made a little table runner, so I did a square and a square block. So I embroidered the center block, pieced the corners onto it to make it the center block on point, and then I used my pinpoint placement to embroider the white detailing. But this is a really fun, gorgeous collection. Then we have our freestanding cotton candy cottage. This is for our gingerbread village. I do not have pictures of mine because we went to put it together and one of my pieces is missing and I am still looking for it. And if I don't find it by tomorrow, I will give in and I will embroider that one piece that I know I embroidered and it is missing. But soon we will have it done and on display at the store. Another tiling scene we're getting this year is Peace on Earth by Shannon Roberts. She does an amazing job with chalkboard art, and our OESD's digitizers do an amazing job digitizing her chalkboard art. So I love this wreath with the poinsettias. The one thing with this one to keep in mind is that there are actually 2 blank tiles. They do give you files to stitch out for those 2 tiles, but it's just a seam stitch. But it's important to know that because I know sometimes there's a blank tile and I'm like, what did I do wrong? In this case, it has 2 blank tiles. Then we also have the freestanding dreidel coming out this month. So Peace on Earth is supposed to come out in October. The freestanding dreidel comes out in October too. This is a really quick and fun project. And the collection comes with instructions on how to play the dreidel game. So new products, because those were all embroidery collections, so let's look at new products. We have our Luxe Sparkle Vinyl. It comes in 10 colors. It has a smooth surface, so it's not rough or anything. It does have a white cloth back. Even the black has white on the back. It is machine washable. You can iron it. So if you, say, improperly roll it up and it gets stored that way and it has a little bit of wrinkle in it, you can iron that wrinkle out, and it's very nice. And each roll is 8 inches by 20 inches. For reference, the small pumpkin on the pumpkin patch, when I followed their instructions, which you know I don't always do, when I followed their instructions about what rectangles to cut for it, I used a whole roll of black to do the 6 sides of it. Good morning, Brenda. Okay, then we have our So Easy Pillow Blank. So to me, this is ingenious. I hate sewing zippers in. I can do it. I know how to do it, and I can do it. But it doesn't mean they're ever always straight. And it doesn't mean I like doing it. And I definitely don't necessarily like doing invisible zippers. I think I've done one so far in a dress that had to have one. So with the pillow blank, the zipper's already sewn in. The side seams are finished. So it's quick and easy. You just embroider on it. You sew up the 3 sides, turn it through the zipper. Hopefully you remember to open the zipper halfway. And stick a pillow form in. Takes a 14-inch pillow form. It technically sews up slightly smaller, so it sews up more like 13.5 by 13.5, but that just means it fluffs out better with the pillow form. But I love this. You will be seeing more of them. Susan asks, can you put that vinyl on clothing? I don't know why you couldn't, because it's very supple. I'm using it in part of my stuff I've made, which I'll show you when we get to the mug rugs. I'll show you where I used it, and like I had to turn them right side out and everything, and it's still flat. It's still supple. I do not know why you couldn't put it on clothing. I don't do a lot of embroidery on clothing, so I haven't tried yet, but now I'm gonna have to find an embroidery design and stick it on something. Put vinyl on it. In some ways they say you can use it a lot like cork, but it is not quite as thick as cork, and it moves a little bit better. So, thinking about it, it depends on the clothing. If it was a really lightweight shirt, maybe not, but if it was a heavier knit shirt, probably. But I have not tried it yet. I can see where this is going. But yes, pillow blanks. Love the pillow blank. You will be seeing a lot of them in store. Yeah. Right now we have the cat pillow. We are going to have at least one pillow with next month's embroidery collection on it. I am just looking forward to everything. Another new thing is table runners. So this is the Start Here Table Runners by OESD. I mean, everything's OESD. This is PowerPoint. And these are 12-inch by 36-inch table runners. If you ever need a quick and easy project that looks very impressive, embroidering a table runner is definitely that. And it doesn't take very long. Okay, depending on your embroidery design, it doesn't take very long. And there's minimal finishing. And that's the part I like. I like the pillow blank because, again, there's minimal finishing. So 3 sides, move on. Turn it right side out. You can also use these for other things. Like I've seen a project where they flip up the end and do a little bit of sewing and add pockets, and they make it where it can sit underneath the sewing machine to hold your supplies. So there are definitely things you can do with it. So now that I've shown you new things, there's definitely more new things, but those are some new things. Let's look at my projects. So we're going to start by preparing our embroidery machine. And the most important thing is if you have thread away on your machine, you need to turn it off. Anytime you do an in the hoop project, you want to turn thread away off because you do not want that needle going somewhere you don't expect it to. And what thread away normally does is it cuts between objects, it cuts your thread, moves the needle away so the thread tail gets pulled out of the fabric, theoretically, and then comes back so that thread tail can be buried underneath. Which does make the back look really messy, but if you're doing something the back won't show, it's wonderful. Great for quilt blocks. However, you don't know where that needle is going. So if you're doing an in the hoop project with the zipper or the projects we're doing today, you do not want it moving. So we're going to turn it off. So if you have an 880 plus, a 790 plus, 770 plus, 700, 590, or a 500, this is what you need to do. So we're going to touch the gear button. We're going to go to the embroidery settings that looks like a hoop, and then you're going to find this icon, which is the thread away icon. You're going to turn it off. Don't be like me and leave it on and get really mad at the project when it's a setting. So, mug rugs. First thing we need, always, Isacord thread. Need embroidery needles. We do need some fabric. Depends which mug rug you're doing, what color fabric you need. But the front is going to be 7x8. The back is going to be 2 pieces, making an envelope enclosure, 7x12 and 7x6. You're going to want applique fabric. They all have appliques. Applique fabric can include the Luxe Sparkle Vinyl, which is part of what I did. Medium weight tearaway, fusion fleece, so it has a little bit of loft to it, but not much because it's a very thin batting type product. Fusion seal, which is optional. I choose not to use it. The point and press tool, which I think I have a picture later on of it. This is a really cool tool that OESD has come out with that has ball points on both ends. So it's a metal, press tool with ball points on each end. There's a bigger ball point and a smaller ball point. It helps you round out your corners, but because they're ball points instead of point, it doesn't stab through the fabric. It is wonderful. And then always when you're doing embroidery, a press cloth is very, very, very handy. So first thing we're going to do is prepare our fabrics. So I have put fusion fleece on the back of my front fabric. And then I have folded the 7x12 and the 7x6 fabrics in half so that they're 7x6 and 7x3. That will give me a nice, clean, folded edge for my envelope enclosure. Now we're ready to embroider. So first things first, what do we hoop? We're hooping our medium weight tearaway. We are going to stitch color 1, which is the batting and fabric placement stitch. And we want to make our little lines extend out. So we're going to take this off the machine, put it on a nice flat surface. Please don't try to do it while holding the hoop. It's not going to work well. And extend those lines out. I will say all the mug rugs are midi hoop designs, which is the hoop that's just larger than the large oval. And so if your largest hoop is the large oval, the cup cozies work. But we want to extend these lines out so that we can see them later on. Then we are going to put our front fabric with the fusion fleece on the back over the placement stitch, pretty side up. And you can either tape it or use 505 to put it in place. I love me some 505. I use my spray adhesive. Then we're going to stitch color number 2, the batting and fabric tack down. And then we're going to take it off, the hoop off the machine again, and we're going to trim the background fabric and fusion fleece to about 1/8 of an inch outside the tack down stitch. So not really close, but just getting it away so that you can see your lines again. I did do one, because again, not good at following instructions, where I left this, and I did it just fine with just a little bit of a line, but this does make it easier where you can see it better. Good morning, Rowena. Then we are going to do the applique on this one. Depends on the embroidery design. Some have some stitching first, some background stitching, and then applique. This one just jumps to applique. So this applique is going to be brown. So I'm going to do my placement line. And I haven't done really anything to prepare my brown fabric. I did use some white fabric on one of my projects, on one of the mug rugs, and with that one I did put fusible woven on the back so that the background fabric wouldn't show through. But in this case, I'm just going to stick my brown fabric over the placement line. I'm going to stitch my cut line and tack down, and I'm going to trim it off the machine, because anytime you're trimming applique, it's way easier off the machine. Now thinking about this, depending on what fabric you're using, the only one that really matters that you get close is this left side line. On this side, since I never showed you what this looks like, probably should have. This one has a snowman. So there's a snowman over here, and that actually overlaps. So if you're using, say, white sparkle vinyl, you don't have to be particularly close on this side. If you're using white fabric, I would try to be close, because brown will show through. But on these outside two edges, you don't really need to be close because you're just going to end up trimming it later anyways. Then we're going to do our white fabric placement line. So you can see how my snowman applique is going to extend past. So then we're going to remove our hoop from the machine. We're not going to unhoop it. I'm going to put my sparkle vinyl down over the placement line. And this is where I realized that there is a lot of pink in the sparkle vinyl that's white, because that's the color I've been using for all my placement stitches, and it's kind of hard to see. But I promise it's there. And then I'm going to trim it. Again, I did not actually trim the outside two edges really close. It does add a little bit of bulk to my seam allowance, but I just went with it. And then we're just going to continue embroidering. And at this point, I've embroidered everything, and I have stopped before my last color. And this is where I'm going to give a PSA. If you have your tag on your machine, so the machines come with a red ribbon with a cardboard tag on it to say, I believe, who inspected it. If you have that tag, it does not like, the machine does not like if that tag gets between the machine and the embroidery hoop, especially when the embroidery hoop is trying to go all the way to the arm of the machine. And it will tell you that you have had a error in module movement. And if you're like me, it takes you like 3 times for you to figure out what's going on. Sufficient to say that tag is no longer on this machine. But I do have a new 700 at home. So that's why I had the tag on it. The tag is no longer there. But I would recommend, if you have your tag still on your machine, please remove it, especially whenever you start doing embroidery, because it might be okay, but it also might become very annoying and you can't figure out what's going on until like 10 minutes later you're like, oh, no wonder it's crushed. Anyway, so embroidered everything. We've stopped. It has one more color to go, which is the seam stitch. But we want to put our envelope enclosure on first. And we want to do it in this order, because if we go it in this order, it will not pop. It won't travel back over the folds. Like, it will keep everything flat. So we're going to put the small folded fabric at the bottom, and we're going to line it up with the top line. Because the whole part of the envelope enclosure is that we want an overlap between our two pieces. Then we're going to take our larger one, and we're going to line up the folded edge at the bottom line. So I have a fold underneath here and a fold here. And you should tape everything in place, unless you want to live on the dangerous side. I'm living on the dangerous side because I completely forgot that I had embroidery tape. And I can see it from my sewing spot, but I forgot. Good morning, Pam. And then it's going to stitch the final color, which is the seam color. So I love how they digitize this. It starts at the top and then comes to the right and then comes down and then comes back where it was. So where this is already held down and comes back around. So it never travels over an unstitched folded edge. So everything stays where it is supposed to. So now we're ready to finish. So we're going to remove our mug rug from the hoop finally. You can tear away the stabilizer. Actually, it's probably a good idea to get the stabilizer out of the seam allowance. And then you're going to trim the mug rug about 1/4 inch away from the side seams. Because it is straight, I just used my rotary cutter. And then we're going to clip our corners. So how I like to clip corners is I cut straight across, like actually the instructions show. And then I come in and I clip them a little bit, like at another angle, just to get where it tapers better into the seam allowance. And I just like to do it that way. Then we're going to turn it right side out through the envelope enclosure. This is the point and press tool that I love. So there's a small ball point over there and a bigger ball point here. And because it's metal, you can use it with the iron if you needed to. Actually, it's very helpful tiling seams to open up that seam allowance so it stays still, or stays like it's supposed to. So you turn it right side out, use the point and press tool to kind of make all your seams go where they need to, and then I recommend pressing it with the press cloth. So embroidery side down, envelope enclosure side up, and press. Keep everything where it's supposed to. At this point, you could close your envelope enclosure with a little piece of Fusion Seal. If you actually use the mug rugs and put heavy things on them, like mugs, sooner or later they will become very squished. And it will not really be necessary to have any sort of closure. Noel has a mug rug that he made years ago. More than 5 years ago. And it is completely flat. It lives next to his bed. And no one would really think about trying to get into it. On the other hand, if you want to hide something, leaving it open is a great way, because then you have a little place to hide stuff. Anyways, here are my 3 completed mug rugs. So I did the snowman with the Luxe Sparkle vinyl. I did this fun Joy Love cookies with just regular fabric. And then I did the, I think it's a gingerbread house and a tree. But the house and the tree I did it with the green sparkle vinyl. I think it's the dark green sparkle vinyl. And had lots of fun. So those are the mug rugs. Let's look at the cup cozies. So cup cozies are made to go around a mug. So they're kind of like the Starbucks sleeve, except cuter, to protect you from burning yourself. So for these, you will want, again, Isacord thread, your embroidery needles. You do need some elastic. They recommend 1/8 inch elastic, 4 inches long. I couldn't find 1/8 inch elastic, so I used 1/4 inch elastic. It is a little chunkier, and 1/8 inch would probably look better, but I'm fine with how mine look, and I'm just gonna go with it. Gonna need a button for every one, because that's how it closes, with the elastic and the button. For fabric, you need 2 4-inch by 10-inch rectangles. Works beautifully if you have a 10-inch square of a fabric that you want to use. Medium weight tearaway again. Fusion fleece, which helps insulate it a little bit so you don't, less likely to burn yourself, assuming you have a super hot mug. Fusion seal, again optional. I'll talk about what I used instead. Tearaway tape, which is actually necessary, the point and press tool again, and the press cloth. And this is, again, the free collection from OESD this month. Okay. So, cup cozy, you want to put some fusion fleece on the back again. You're going to do it on both sides this time. Lots of insulation. You want to gather all your supplies. In this case, I'm just showing that I have my stabilizer hoop, I have my tearaway tape, and I have my elastic and my fabric, but you also want thread. The collection, or the design I am embroidering out has a whole bunch of thread colors, so I am not showing all of them. So we're going to hoop some medium white tearaway in stitch color 1, the fabric placement stitch. You're going to place one of the fabric pieces over the placement line, and then use taper 505 to keep it in place. I used 505. And then stitch color number 2, which is button and elastic placement guide. These you need to stitch in a color that matches your fabric. Theoretically, the button guide shouldn't show because your button should cover it completely. I haven't actually looked at mine. I did not sew my buttons on, so. And I can say that is true. But I marked them in black so you could see what they actually look like. Then you're going to continue stitching. None of these have applique, so it's just stitching according to the color chart and stopping before the last color. These little dots here are why I recommend turning off pinpoint placement. It didn't fold this over once, it folded it over twice. And it took me that long to realize why. Very annoying. Turn off pinpoint placement. Or not pinpoint placement, that's the wrong one. Sorry, the other thing. Thread away. Turn off thread away. Pinpoint placement has nothing to do with this. Sorry. Turn off thread away. Keep the needle where you know it's going. Then you're going to remove the hoop from the machine, but do not unhoop it. We're going to fold the elastic in half and place it with the ends lined up with the placement line, and you're going to tape it in place. Then you're going to put the second piece of fabric right side down over the embroidery. And we're going to stitch the final color, which is the seam stitch. Again, you want that to match your fabric if possible. Because whenever you pop it out, it is possible that you might stretch it a little bit and see them. Or maybe that's just me. You're going to tear away, unhoop it, tear away your stabilizer, trim away excess fabric. You want to be about a 1/4 inch away. Except, this is my opening. I want to leave a nice large seam allowance for my opening. It makes everything easier later on to close it up. And you want to clip your curves. So to clip my curves, what I did is I cut in almost to the seam, but I did not cut the seam. You don't want to cut the seam. That doesn't work well. Then we're going to turn it right side out. Again, I used my point and press tool to get all those curves nicely out. And then I pressed it so it was very flat with my press cloth and my Laura Star. Then to close the opening. There are 3 ways I thought of off the top of my head to close this. So you can use fuse and seal to fuse it close. That is the easiest thing if you don't want to sew anything. Like if all you like doing is embroidering and you don't want to hand sew, you can hand stitch it closed. That's what 3 out of the 4 of them I made are closed, or how they are closed. Disclaimer, I didn't do it. Noel is my hand sewer. He hand sewed them closed for me. And the third way I thought of, and I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but I don't know why you couldn't just top stitch. I mean, you'd have to set your machine up for sewing, obviously, but I think it'd look really nice with a little top stitch about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, kind of like how you would top stitch a bag, and that would close it as well. And then you are also going to sew a button on using the X as a placement guide. I got fun buttons, so this one has a little snowflake on it. And my other buttons, I got a little Christmas tree to go with my Christmas lights, and then Noel used another snowflake for my cuddle in a cup. So these are the 3 that are completely done. I have one that, because I did not manage my time properly, I still need to finish. But that's going to be, I'm going to try top stitching it. Especially because I already have red thread in my machine. So, are there any questions? Because this is the part where I get to wait. But you can see here how the cup cozy works. Where you just put it all the way around. The cup cozies are so easy to make. They do have a little bit more finishing than the mug rugs, but they don't have applique. The mug rugs take more time to do because they have applique, so they balance out at the end. But yes, I've seen some of the mug rugs and the cup cozies with more sparkle vinyl. Actually saw one of the cup cozies made just out of sparkle vinyl, and it popped so well. I'm not sure how much they've tested it with hot water or hot cups. But it was spectacular. Granted, currently slightly obsessed with sparkle vinyl. So I'm not seeing any questions, but I know there's a delay. But I did have some questions during it, which I've answered, so thank you for watching. The next date that we will be doing a live stream is Thursday, October 14th, which will be Bernina Club. So I can't wait to see what Emily has in store for us that day. And thank you all for joining me today. So I'll see you soon. Bye.